Okay, so the title of this project, he said, is we're 1-to-1, so now what? And I teach half a day at the middle school in Johnson County. I teach seventh grade language arts. And then the other half a day, I get to work as a TIS. And so I go into the elementary schools and I help integrate technology. And this year we're working with the National Board Project, I think the same as Alan presented. So we're a pilot school for that with one of our elementary schools. So I get to see a lot of different things, which is kind of what led me here. And the first year we had the ARI grants, I received a Chromebook lab for my classroom, and I was a full-time teacher at that time. And it was a learning period for us. And so I think we piloted a Google Classroom. That was one of the first years that it came out. When I would send something out to the kids and they would reply, I would get my Google Drive. They hadn't organized it. There were no folders. It was just very messy. And so I got to give some feedback, and we got to see some changes. And then last year we went, I think it was 7-12 district-wide. Every child had a Chromebook. And then in our elementary schools, we had more and more teachers getting grants for Chromebooks. So I got to work with those elementary teachers, and I got to work with the middle school teachers, and I got to see some of the things that they were doing. And our young teachers took to it really quickly because they were all tech savvy. And so there was some resistance from our older teachers. And so that was a learning curve that we had to encounter. So we had to show them kind of baby steps on, okay, here's something you can do with your class, here's something you can do. So we moved from that paper copy to, okay, we're doing some things digitally. And I think that's great. You know, we're moving those teachers forward. But then I started thinking more and more, okay, if you're just doing the same thing on the computer that you could do on paper, is that really innovative? What can we do more with that? So this grant I wanted to purchase, of course, budgets are tight. This grant allowed me to purchase Nearpod, the gold level, I believe, or platinum level for my classroom. I also got to purchase Brain Pop, and we had used that years ago, but it had been several years since we had had access to Brain Pop. I also purchased a Bluetooth speaker because we're doing virtual reality trips this year. That's something we wanted to focus on, and so we wanted kind of that surround sound experience. I purchased I don't have it yet, but an Apple TV because I had received a grant last year for my iPad Pro, and I wanted to be able to interact with the Mondo Pad with my Apple TV. And we did Chromecast. And any of you that know anything about the Chromecast, it's on back order, so they're really popular right now. It's about $35, and I'm on a 7-week wait period to get that. But I'm really excited to get that because that's going to allow my students to broadcast what's on their screen onto my display in my classroom so that everybody in the classroom can see that. So my thinking was I want to see my kids more engaged with technology. I don't want them just to sit there and read from the computer screen or just type their answers in. I want it to be more interactive. And so Nearpod and Brain Pop and these tools is what I hope to accomplish and get there. And I know that was really fast, but so my research question, I wanted to know what impact, if any, will increasing student interaction and engagement with school-issued one-to-one devices have on student learning and knowledge retention? And I did my doctorate a few years ago, and I focused on research. And so I really want to know, I'm doing a pre-survey, and I really want to track that data to see what the difference is when the students are engaged versus when they're not. So, Nearpod, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but it's a great, so far the kids have liked it. We got full access last week, and it allows teachers to make their own presentations, and there are presentations already there as well. But it shows up on the kids' screens, so they're individual screens, and they can put their individual answers in, and I can see that in real time. And so I kind of get an understanding. It's a very good formative assessment tool because it allows me to see what each kid is doing on their screen at that particular time. And Brain Pop we used years ago when it first started. It was just videos, and so they have a lot more resources where the kids can actually create their own videos using some of the tools that are there. And then, of course, with the Apple TV, it lets me control from my iPad and show different things on the screen, and I can actually take that to the student's desk, and if they have a great piece of writing, I can have them actually project that up. And so I'm hoping more interactive and more engaging for our kids. So, and like I said, I talk really fast, so questions, yes.
So kids are creating content that you're broadcasting from their Chromebook up to a big screen?
That's the goal, yes. I don't have the device yet, but.
Can you give us some examples of things they might create?
Okay, one of my other grants I received, we are focusing on writing about Appalachia. So we're going to take pictures of our local community, and we're going to go through the writing process. So I want to encourage creative writing. So let's say I'm teaching a poem and they've got a really good example of onomatopoeia or a hyperbole. I can actually, with the Chromecast, I can actually click, and their work that they're doing on their screen will show up for the entire class to see in real time. So as they make changes on their screen, the entire class can see it. Or if they're creating a Google slide and they've got images on there and maybe they're making a poster, then we can display that and the class can interact, they can comment. Padlet is also a free resource that we can use that has real-time changes that it shows for the kids. So, pretty excited to see because the kids get excited. So.
What's your learning curve like to master using all this technology in real time in the classroom?
I'm pretty good with technology because I use it a lot, so it's really easy for me. Not so much with other teachers I work with, so that was why I enjoy getting to go in and show them things. I try to pilot everything in my class because I never want to ask a teacher to do something I can't do myself, and so I always want to have examples to show and be able to give advice. Yes. I looked at DataSeam. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It put Apple computers into Eastern Kentucky with coal tax severance monies, and so I looked at the impact of years ago, our teachers that were part of the DataSeam network, we trained teachers. They went to an Apple training, and so we all had iMacs in our classrooms. And teachers got trained on specifically how to use iMovie, iPhoto, all the different apps. And so my data looked at what impact did that training teachers have on student achievement. It was positive for the ones who embraced it, and then it was negative for the ones who didn't follow up. And there was that period because we had a lot of, it was kind of like a blanket, like, okay, this is a PD, everybody has to do it. And the ones who were really into it and wanted to take it forward were successful. And then the ones who were reluctant, of course, if you don't put the effort in, then there's nothing there. So, any other questions? Yes. I was going to say I would start with Google for sure. I'm Google certified, and that's, I can't say enough good things in my classroom about Google certification. But just becoming familiar with what's there and what's available. And Google has a great site where you can actually do, there's videos and there's tutorials to show each of the different things that are available through Google. Mm-hmm. You have to take a test at the end, but we actually have two state, I think Laura Ragnarok is our Eastern Kentucky representative for, and she's really great about a resource. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, and that concludes our presentations for breakout segment C. If the presenters need a reimbursement form, mileage reimbursement form, those are all up here. And if you filled out a letter of recommendation with the papers, Campbell is standing by the door, so if you just hand those as you exit, thank you.